Alright, time for another lengthy off-season jump shot retraining video. If you liked the past two videos, you're going to love this video. As you saw in the last video, we figured out how we could isolate the jump shot by walking into the shot and getting the ball in the seams and not dribbling into it, not picking it up. And in this position, we saw how our player, who is me, can shoot the ball from a set position repetitively and make between 80 and 90%, and that's something really anyone can do by practicing in this way. But basketball isn't like that. We're not going to have the ball on balance in our set position all the time. If we did, sure, we'd be able to shoot, but we need to get the ball on balance to our set position and have an opening for the shot. So, as in the last one, we isolated the shot. And this one, we're working on isolating the lead up to the shot, off the dribble. This is strictly off the dribble exercise. So I am practicing strictly in a mirror room. This may not be something you've seen before. We're not shooting, but this is important off-season shooting practice anyways. Right? Does it make sense? This is the whole lead up to the shot. If I can get the ball to the seams on balance, after creating space, then I'll be able to make 80-90%, but if I can't do that, then it's going to seriously affect my jump shooting percentage. As for what I'm doing specifically here, this is a fake drive. One of my favorite space is with a fake drive, and I use what I call a consecutive step. If I'm driving to the right, I hit the left foot twice, as you're going to see, and if I fake a drive to the right, I'm going to hit the left foot twice. And if I go drive to the left, I'm going to hit the right foot twice. And you can pause the video and look at my right feet, left feet, etc. see what's going on here. If I'm going to fake drive to the left and shoot it, I'm going to hit the right foot twice. You see Kevin Durant do this a lot. He's really great at it, but I like doing this a lot. This is my favorite way to create space. Very easy. You just fake like you're going to drive. Basically, the defender usually takes a step back and you can just go into the shot. I mean, you can kind of see how this would work. Really, really simple way. It doesn't really go wrong. In particular, I want to be able to practice going into this from a behind the back dribble and a through the legs dribble. See, I want to be able to go behind the back into a fake drive, behind the back. But I need to work on it. I'm losing it a lot, which is why I'm practicing in front of a mirror as well, which we'll get into. See, I want to be able to do behind the back and drive, or behind the back, draw, pull up, right? See how that makes sense? Briefly, well, not briefly. Let's get in depth here. But why am I practicing in front of a mirror? You may have seen some of my other videos where I really, really preach this. Our ability to shoot the basketball off the dribble, a huge amount of that is our ability to get the ball on the seams to that sweet spot. So I want to be able to dribble the ball on the seams, and I want to be able to pick up the ball on the seams and control it on the seams the whole way through. Now, I can read that through my fingers. I can also read that through my eyes. But if I look down at the ball, I'm developing muscle memory of looking down at the ball. If I'm doing this in the mirror room, it's a huge cheat code because I can look at the ball with my eyes, feel the ball with my fingertips, and get it on the seams that much easier. I take it to the game, and I have the muscle memory of doing it. I don't have the muscle memory of looking down, and my head's up, and I'm controlling the ball on the seams, and I'm busting all kinds of jump shots in people's faces that look easy, they look open, because it's just controlled. So that's what this is all about. Repetition, okay, so I want to work on this is turning a corner. This is something that I've really struggled with in the past, especially with the left hand, is coming around a screen with the lefty dribble and getting the ball right on the seams to shoot a floater or any kind of a thing. So you can't see that there's a mirror off to the left here, so I have two mirrors to work with so I can kind of look at the mirror the whole way through. Control the ball on the seams, which you can see a little bit of. The quality is not that high of the video, and it's just hard to see the seams anyways. But I'm doing it. And as for the shot, I'm really just working on getting it into the set position of what you saw in the last video, which is basically all about having the elbow as tucked in as I can with having the hand facing the basket as much as I can. And if because the elbow being tucked in underneath the ball is the power base, and the hand facing the basket is the accuracy base, and I'm working on having those in my fingers. First two fingers, pointer finger, middle finger. So for everything I do, for the most part, physically shooting jumpers, and also my dunk practice isn't necessarily symmetrical, but for everything dribble and skills related, for the most part, I want to be as symmetric as I can, which means everything I do with the left, I want to be able to do with the right. So that's why you're seeing me transfer back and forth. Here I'm practicing a fake pass into a shot. Oftentimes, especially off a pick and roll, you come around a pick and roll and you throw a pass. Both guys will go with the guy, and you have like lots of time to recover and take a shot. Usually results in a pretty wide open, long three. But you have to be able to shoot it on balance from this position, so worth practicing. Later on, I'll put in all of this together with the shot, but for now, it's just this is what I'm going to do. So you've seen it from start to finish, basically, and there'll be one more video, most likely, of how it's looking before my season starts up again, but there hasn't really been much to it. I haven't spent very much time at all physically on the court shooting shots, and there's a reason for that. Jump shooting is very hard on the body. It's very hard on my body in particular. The forward and back ankle motion causes a lot of strain in my Achilles. I actually have a bone spur in the left calcaneal bone, which is like where the Achilles and the plantar fascia attach. So like basically my ability to practice jump shots is really limited. And at first this was a big problem for me because I was like, I need to put up hundreds of jump shots in order to have an accurate jumper. But instead what really happened is it forced me to be much more efficient and focused in my jump shooting practice. I don't need to be shooting up hundreds of jump shots. I need to be efficient in how I practice so that I can have a really accurate shot without having to put up tons of shots. And the way that I do that is by breaking the shot down into parts, isolating just the upper body, then isolating just the shot, then isolating just the lead into the shot, and from here it's just going to be game ready for the most part. So that's the way I do it. It's really efficient. You don't need to spend a ton of hours. Your off season doesn't need to be a really long time. You can do it in a matter of a couple of weeks, spending total of like 3 hours on the floor, and you'll probably be ready if you do it in the right way and think about it in the right way. And I say being on the floor, but I've spent plenty of time off the floor, analyzing my shot on film, practicing the finger release lying on my back, and just thinking and imagining myself doing it. Mental rehearsal is important. So what you're seeing here is a fake hesitation dribble into a real shot. I guess something I'll comment on here is you'll see that I'm a right-handed shooter, and generally what's going to happen with that is you go left-right, your footwork, but I practice either of them because if I can be on balanced, it's really useful to have the footwork for both. See, right, left. Doesn't matter the order of my feet coming down too much. I want to have both. All right, so here you see me practicing step back. Step back is a good shot from basically when you pull out of a drive. I feel like if you're shooting it from very far, it doesn't make too much sense to me. I think the main time you do it is when you try to drive and there's a lot of body contact, and then you'll probably throw an off arm to create space and step back. Not necessarily throw the off arm to, move the defender, but to move you back from the defender. This is like when the guy's really riding you. So with that, it makes sense to practice a step back with an off arm in it. So, which I haven't done yet, but you're going to see me do starting soon. Let's see where it is. But, I mean, I'm just being as symmetric as I can and doing as many as I can from the left and the right. The balance of this is the hardest part. If I can stick this on balance, I can just go into my shot, right? So that's definitely the hardest thing. Okay, here we go. Now I'm practicing keeping the ball far back so I can use my offhand. There we go. So I'm using what I call a cuff pin. Cuff the ball or pin it to your body so that your other hand is completely free to control the defender. Throwing an arm bar, which if the guy is right up in you is not going to be an offensive foul on you. If if there's a fair amount of space and you reach out and push, then sure. But this is basically when they're right on you, your body's pinned to theirs, and you just extend your arm bar to create space. Even though you're seeing my hand go way out, that's not how it would actually happen in game, because there'd be resistance from the defender. If I have the strength to do that, I wouldn't need to do this to begin with, right? You can imagine that there's 200 pounds of force between me, right? So that was, my step back is now feeling pretty ready to pull out of drives. I've done fake drives. I want to practice doing it out of a jab step with pump fakes involved. It's something that's worth practicing. Being able to shoot out of the jab step. So something you're going to notice here, which I'm interested in hearing comments in, I know some of you guys are watching my comments, or comment on this stuff, is take a look at my heels. You'll see that in general, my heels are pretty flat to the ground until the release of the shot, and that creates extra ankle flexion. So that's something for you to look at that I'm semi-curious about, but I found that being on my toes entirely for the entirety of the shot creates extra knee flexion, which causes patellar problems. I don't have patellar problems, I have Achilles problems, so maybe there's a trade-off there. You will see that I shoot, like, my toes are the last contact with the ground, so I'm using my toes, but to be fully balanced in a step back, I want to, be on both of my feet fully. So that's why I'm doing that. It's something to think about. If you comment on that and I don't get back to you in a week, that's because I'm at summer camp, which I'm not going to make a video about probably until I come back, but I'll be back and I'll be reading the comments. But that's something for me to think about, because that is the reason why I find that jump shooting is so hard on my ankle, is the flexion of having my heel on the ground. But I found that being toe based is I have less balance and it's a little more on my knee. Okay, so what you're doing here is a real drive slash a fake drive into the jump shot. So this is what a defender will kind of see happen, right? So you can just do it a fake drive, you can do a real drive into a pull up and so forth, right? So that's what I want to be able to practice. Do some dribble stuff as well. Just revisit some other things, like I just want to be able to get in reps while I'm in here. Like just isolate things, see where I get to in my session. Okay, so here, really simple. I've done some complex stuff. This is out of the catch, triple threat, one dribble pull up. The main time you do this is you catch the ball and the defender's closing out or is way too close. You can see I sweep it through low, and you can also sweep it through high so that the defender can't rip the ball from you. But this is something real basic and real important, is just having that one dribble pull up. Like sometimes there'll be a screen that runs up to you, and you can step around the screen or whatever. Wide open jump shot, really useful in games. Just taking a one dribble pull up. So I want to practice out of either kind of jab step or either pivot foot. This is something you don't see from a lot of guards, is guards having a competent, or righty guards having a competent right foot pivot foot, and lefty guards having a competent left foot pivot foot. I like to practice both because I find there's situations for both. I want to be symmetrical in my practice. There's NBA players who really use only one. I'll say that Michael Jordan used both, and he's the greatest, or greatest two guard or whatever. But something to think about. It's good to practice attacking and moving out of either pivot foot, because there will be times where one pivot foot will be able to get you to a position much better than the other one will. So oftentimes when I catch the ball, I will, which you can't really see here, oftentimes when I catch the ball, I'll catch the ball with my legs spread so that I can choose which pivot foot I want to use depending on how the defender plays me, depending on the side he closes out to. Does that make sense? Similarly in the post, I do like to play the post. I haven't really made any post videos, and I picked this up from Hakeem Olajuwon. Before I make my move in the post, I like to land with my back to the basket with both of my feet planted. That way the defender, it's basically really hard to guard. They have to guess which way you're going to turn because either foot could be your pivot foot. But so the idea is, I feel that it's good on the perimeter if you catch the ball, if you're, a triple threat attacker, to delay choosing your pivot foot so that you can choose either pivot foot. But you need to be good with both pivot foots in order to do that. Okay, so what you're seeing here is a fake spin move. This can create tremendous amount of space for a pull-up. It's a hard shot, requires a lot of balance, so that's why you're seeing me practice it. You're also going to notice that I'm using a cuff to my body on this as well. That allows me to use my offhand to balance, not so much push off the defender, but balance off the defender. Also get the ball in tight to my body, makes it very, very difficult to steal it. So I can get back and not stolen, on balance, space created from the defender. Obviously, I want to practice going from either foot. Right? I want to practice going from either foot, spinning off either foot, and I also want to do actual spin moves so that I'm not predictable, right? This is like a counter move, basically. I'm not going to be fake spinning every time. I'm not going to be real spinning every time. I'm not even going to be spinning every time, right? So I want to be able to keep the defender guessing and depending on the situation, having the ability to do either. Really fun move though. I got the idea for this from C.J. Wilcox, who played for the University of Washington. Really, really good scorer. I don't think he's going to the NBA or anything like that. Maybe he is. Work his way up like Justin Denman, maybe. So I'm working on doing a spin. There'll be times when I want to do a spin into a jump shot. It would generally be a pretty close jump shot, but I want to have the balance in order to do it. Like, spinning into a jump shot is pretty difficult if you're like spinning around a screen at the three-point line. I don't know that you would want to do it. I never see anyone do it. Maybe it's because they don't practice it. But for me in particular, I think that's more difficult than I need to make it. The time that I would do this is if I'm driving in the lane and there's basically an opportunity for a spin and I'm not quite close enough for a layup. There's not really a help defender that I need to worry about floating it over, so I have an opportunity to shoot a jump shot. Comes up from time to time, and I could use this to shoot a floater anyways. Once I'm in my set position, my shooter's pocket position can be useful for shooting floaters as well. So now I want to work on crossover step back. Not always the most useful thing, but I'm here and it's something on my mind, so I figured I would try it. And now I'm working on step to the side, right? This is the same footwork as the fake drive, but it's like a fake with a step to the side. I picked this from Chris Paul. Chris Paul likes to throw these, and I use it in game occasionally. It's really, really useful for creating space because it's like really hard to close out laterally. Defender is kind of used to you going forward and back, but if you just take a space to the side, it usually just creates a shot. It's like an awkward and hard shot, which is why I'm practicing it, but really, really useful step to the side jumper. So there's various shots that off the dribble that I didn't practice in here, but I practiced the majority of the ones that I'm going to be using in game. If there's things that I left out and forgot, oops, no shooting off the dribble, but that's off-season jump.